All right, sorry for that. We do the best we can here. So, no one knows. Start with simple model. Space pre-existing, then it's boundless. Matter expanding into the void, into a vacuum. And problem, flat hyperbola or sphere. I mean, I go with flat space. It's the most simple. You start from there. All the rest of it, the general theory and curved space-time, and I said to Brian Greene, string theory suffers from the same problem as the general theory: 90% math, 10% bad idea. So, space is not uniquely paired with matter, and that goes back to my idea that it's not like Charlotte's Web. It doesn't expand, and space is there with space-time, some kind of material that nobody can define, and for every object there's a unique place in that web and it just sort of expands or whatever. No. Space, time, matter are all independent. And space is not like, so space isn't paired up like this has to be there, that has to be there, it doesn't. It's completely what it looks like, sort of an organized chaos held together with gravity. And let's see what this one says at the bottom. Yes, you must accept the truth from whatever source it comes. You must accept the truth from whatever source it comes. And for those of you that don't know it, it's actually from Rambam, otherwise known as Maimonides, and I would think that it's a good rule for everybody to follow in science, not just in everyday life, but in science too, right? You have to accept the truth wherever it comes. You can't hide it, you can't block it, you can't steal it, you can't do anything. You have to accept it. Good words to follow by. All right, let me go on. All right. So hold on one second. So this I have set up, this is the third whiteboard, and it's the current view versus Blumdahl's view of the universe, right? And so what we have here is the current model, where you have a Big Bang, explosion, expansion, however you want to use it, and it explodes or bursts forth like a balloon, but you have only matter on the membrane, right? Like a membrane of an explosion, where the matter is. There's a void inside, but I don't think anybody accounts for that. Like, well, what is that inside? The other set is, well, what is it outside? What is it expanding into? Right? You have void, so there's no geographical center per se. You have void on the outside of this membrane. Mass is on these little dots here, right? X is the surface and whatnot. What is it? What's on the inside and the outside? That has to be answered. Right? Yeah. So matter. So this model closely exhibits what would happen with a nuclear explosion. You can go on YouTube or whoever and see it. or the web, and it just forms this like plasma ball, right? I mean, just unbelievable heat, you know, unbelievable radiation, right? But when all is said and done, there's nothing there. The radiation, you know, flies off. It might be in the ground or wherever you have it, but there's nothing there. There's no matter there. It's all self-consumed, right? And that's what happens. The matter, you know, if this looks like it should be like a nuclear explosion, but then there's matter. In a nuclear explosion, right, there's nothing left. It consumes everything. So objects on the membrane only, that's a problem. The shape is unknown, if that's just exploding into something. Yeah, a nuclear explosion, right? So you have all these problems, I think, with this model. It doesn't work anymore, right? It's a bad idea. It doesn't work. And you start off with something more complicated than starting off with something more simple. And the simple is what's here, right? Blumdahl's view, there's that name again, okay. There is a center, right? There was an explosion, or a collision, an explosion, or, you know, however you want expansion, however you want to look at it. And matter basically just went flying all over the place, somewhat like a supernova. Or you could use the fireworks analogy. I think that works just as well, or a pipe bomb, or a firecracker, right? There's mass with it. You know, when a conventional gravity bomb goes, yeah, there's a huge explosion, but there's also the casing of the bomb itself that's just thrown everywhere. So, right, so you do have a mass, and you do have a center, right? You do have a geographical center. If anybody knows anything about Tunguska, Siberia, where they think a large meteorite passed through Siberia and then exploded. And that was 1908. I don't think, they couldn't reach it till like 1921 or something. But they saw all the trees laid down. And they could, within reason, I mean, they could say where like 0.0 was, in other words, where it exploded. They can say basically how high it was, at least within reason, right, where it actually exploded. So they can do a lot of how much force was there when it exploded. So they can sort of trace it back and get a rough idea of what happened. And certainly the same thing with the Hiroshima bomb. You know, there's nothing left of the bomb itself, obviously, but they can go back and look at, well, where exactly did it explode? How high up was that when it exploded? What was the force, you know, that hit it? So they can go back and trace where these, you know, explosions, whatever happened. So, and I'm saying, if you look at the model of the universe with space and then an explosion happening within that space, if the universe is isotropic, I like isotropic, so I'll say isotropic. If the universe is isotropic, it explodes in this kind of situation, there has to be a geographical center. There has to be a geographical center. So let me make it easy here. So non-nuclear explosion, it wasn't. It was just like a firework. Matter, it exploded like a sun, right? Or a supernova. I mean, the same kind of idea. Yes, a geographical center, flat space, objects radiate out from it. Okay? So that's kind of the idea that I went through several of these ideas. Sorry to stop the video, but I had to. Usually this goes on, you know, to 3 different parts. The only reason I do that is the first 2 videos that I made, I used a more or less professional organization, but when the coronavirus hit, it forced me to do my own videos, and that's why they're coming off like they do. I think they're not very well groomed. They're kind of raw. No, they're very raw. But at least hopefully I get the ideas across, which is the most important, right? The ideas, the scientific ideas are the most important. If you get that out of this, that's what I'm happy about, even if it looked a little rough. Let me do one more thing. It actually says, go find the center of the universe. Go find the center of the universe, right? Because what I just said, if the universe is isotropic and space is a necessary condition for any matter to be present, to exist, and it was maybe an explosion, or it was a collision, or it was a lot, then think of, like, you know, one big explosion happening, or consider two different masses interacting. I mean, some of it is there's so much space, some would just pass through, others would hit and move and whatnot. So, but if that's true, then there has to be a center to the universe. Go find the center of the universe. That's what it says. Go find the center of the universe. Sorry for being a little rough, but that's the way it is. That's science in the raw. Thank you for watching. Bye.